Mission in remote parts of Kenya, this quarter's 13th Sabbath Offering mission projects, and the healing touch of medical missionaries coming up next. Los Angeles City takes up some 5,000 square miles and 4 million people live here. But of course, Greater Los Angeles stretches to a much larger extent to 5,000 square miles with a growing population, making it the largest geographical city in all of the United States. Welcome to Mission 360, I'm Gary Krause, and I hope that you'll be challenged by what you see on today's program as we look at mission right here, but also around the world. This is one of the most diverse cities in North America. It's the most densely populated population of Mexicans outside Mexico live right here in Los Angeles. The greatest population of Koreans outside of Korea live here in Los Angeles, and even Samoans. More Samoans live here than anywhere else in the world except Samoa. But first up, let's travel to the Southern Africa Indian Ocean region and let's see what's happening with 13 Sabbath Offering projects this quarter.
Welcome to the beautiful nation of Sao Tome and Principe, located off the coast of West Africa. The people here are friendly and kind. Among the 200,000 people of this country, there are approximately 8,000 Seventh-day Adventists who worship in nearly 70 congregations. The Adventists in this region are working strategically to grow the church. Members participate in church growth initiatives and starting new groups of believers. Meet INÁCIO, a taxi driver on the island of Sao Tome. When INÁCIO doesn't have passengers, he parks his yellow taxi at Giovanni Avenue, where he has made many new friends. He connects with other taxi drivers and store employees, like the barbers in this barber shop. Every week, INÁCIO studies the Bible with his barber friends. They ask many questions and are happy to receive a friendly visit where they can learn about God. But INÁCIO's new friends had a complaint.
They complained to me that they needed a Bible to follow the studies. So I talked with Pastor Elisu and asked him for Bibles. He gave me 5 books. You see, these are study Bibles. In the back, there are several lessons we use. This contribution enhanced our Bible studies here at the Central Square.
This is INÁCIO's daily routine. As he travels around town, he engages everyone he meets in biblical discussion. Sometimes the studies even happen inside his cab. Other times he comes across people who don't agree with the message, but he lovingly points them back to the Bible. He believes the Word of God can bring clarity to any issue.
And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. There is no gain if you are in a place with people and you know God's word, but you won't share the gospel. I saw many people going down to the baptismal waters with gratitude for someone like me who remembered to tell them the good news. My mission is not to convert the people. It is to do God's work and allow the Holy Spirit to do His part.
Local leaders are now praying for the means to construct new churches. There are dozens of congregations on the island, but many meet in rented spaces, crowded basements, and rundown structures. This quarter, a portion of your 13th Sabbath Offering will sponsor construction of a new church in Sao Tome and Principe. It will also provide Bibles in Portuguese for the local children. Please pray for the 13th Sabbath Offering projects to continue to expand the Adventist Church in Sao Tome and Principe, as well as in Mozambique.
We're on the campus of Loma Linda, and my guest is Dr. Jason LOHR. Thank you so much, Jason, for joining us.
Welcome.
Now, you and your family have had a rich experience in overseas mission service. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, we spent 7 years total overseas. We were 5 years in Nigeria and 2 years in Honduras. One of the most memorable experiences that we had when we were in Nigeria was, it was just the first month we were there, and there was a water shortage. Every house had a tank that was we were supposed to use for our water, similar to a lot of situations in other countries. And our water tank was supposed to last us for 1 or 2 weeks until they would refill it with water that was released from the main tank that the entire hospital used. But over those days, everybody around us were running out of water. All their water tanks were drying up. People were coming to us to borrow water because we were the only house on the entire campus that still had water, and we were sharing that. But we knew with 2 small children and my wife, and brand new, that one basic need we thought we needed was water.
Right.
And so in this whole time we were unsure if we were going to run out. And then it had been almost 2.5 weeks. Nobody had water, and we heard water running through the pipes. And so we went and we pumped so that we could fill our water tank, and within a few minutes our tank was overflowing, the fastest that it had ever done, ever overflowed. And we went to the neighbors and we said, "Oh, water's coming," so that everybody else could fill their water tanks. And they turned on their pump and there was no water. Now all the pipes are connected, but there was no water in their pipes. There was no water in anyone's pipes. And they turned to us and said, "You're witnessing a miracle." At that moment, we realized that God was filling our water tank. He was filling the need that we had in that moment. And later, we did run out of water. But at that moment, we needed God to come through, because with 2 small kids, I don't know what we would have done if we hadn't had something so basic as running water. And God filled our need at that moment and filled our water tank. And after that, we remembered Him. Every time we needed something, we remembered He's the God who fills our water tank. He fills those needs. And so every time we had any need while we were there, we could rely on Him to fulfill that.
That's wonderful. How old were your children when you went to Nigeria?
They were 2 and 1.
Wow.
So they were very little. They had a wonderful experience. My wife started a children's choir and actually made some DVDs,
Wow.
filming the kids singing, and made outfits, and it was wonderful. And the kids, our 2 little kids, were involved in that choir. At one point, it was actually 100 kids big, and we actually had Muslim kids from the neighborhood joining the choir, singing about Jesus Christ.
That's wonderful. Now, when you went to Africa, what were your expectations and what was the reality?
Well, we expected things to be a little bit quite different than the U.S., and that was the reality. Yeah. Things are quite different. But overall, it was a wonderful experience. We really saw God moving every day. We saw miracles happening every day, and I'm not exaggerating. Literally, we saw that. And I know God is active everywhere, but in a way, I think when you have to rely on Him for basic stuff, like the running water, or basic stuff like electricity, there's just this sense of reliance that then you see Him come through and provide those needs that we would see literally on a daily basis. And it's not like we don't necessarily have those same needs in the rest of the world, but you just felt that sense of God's presence and activity so alive in some of these areas of the world that we worked.
Describe what you were doing in Nigeria.
So we were working as missionary physicians. My wife and I, she's also a physician. So we were working and taking care of the patients. We focused on women's health. So even though we're not OBGYN doctors, but we did a lot of OBGYN. So a lot of deliveries and C-sections, and really helping the women and the small babies that were delivered. And again, we would see cases of women that had been laboring for days at home before they came in, and it was an emergency. Every time they came in, it was an emergency that we had to intervene to help save the mom's life and save the baby's life. And we have multiple stories of how God intervened and did miracles to save both mom and baby.
Wonderful. What motivated you both to go?
Well, my wife, actually, when she was 5 years old, she told her mother, "I want to be a missionary doctor."
Right.
None of her family had ever graduated even past high school. But she had seen something or heard something in Sabbath school about a missionary doctor, and so she said, "I want to be a missionary doctor." She was the first one in her family to go past high school, get a college degree, get a medical degree. And then I spent a year as a student missionary in college, And that year transformed my life, and I realized this is what I want to do. I really want to serve. And we served for 7 years. We came back because of my mother-in-law's health. But if it hadn't been for her health, and she's living with us now, we would still be serving. We really have a heart for mission, and we plan to eventually go back again.
How did Loma Linda prepare you for mission service?
I think the basic of whole person care and really continuing the healing ministry of Jesus Christ. Because the academic stuff will come. Every medical school offers that, every training program offers that, but actually continuing that healing ministry to really have that basis and that spiritual connection, because you can't give what you don't have.
Right. Somebody watching this program and saying, is mission service for me? Do they need me? What sort of response do you give to people who ask you that?
You know, I was talking about this yesterday with some folks. The need is so huge. And the reality as a physician, when we would leave the hospital to even go on a vacation or to come back to the US to visit family, patients would suffer in the hospital because we weren't there. We weren't there to do the difficult deliveries. And so we knew that patients would suffer, and some patients would even die because we weren't there. However, we couldn't work 24/7 all year, so we knew we had to take that break, but it was so sad to see that. And you can't say that I know of any hospital in the developed world that if a doctor leaves on vacation, that their patients will suffer or die. And so the need is so big. I know there's need everywhere, and you can be a missionary everywhere, and we're doing that here in Loma Linda as well. But the need is so big that if anyone is interested and willing, has the heart to commit to God and say, I'm willing to go, take me, use me, the need is there.
Jason, thanks so much for sharing with us today.
You're very welcome.
And viewers at home, pray for missionaries. They're still out there. They're still facing very challenging circumstances, rewarding but challenging as well. So please pray for them, continue to support them, and we'll be right back after this break. Hello and welcome back to Los Angeles, California. Behind me is the iconic Hollywood sign, representing an industry that also sends its message to all parts of the globe. Next up, we travel to Kenya and we visit a global mission pioneer working in a very remote area.
Happy Sabbath! Happy day! Happy day! Happy Sabbath!
We're here in the heart of Kenya, very close to the center of the country. And my guest today is Pastor SILAS SARO, who is the Adventist Mission Director for the Kenya Union. So it's appropriate that we're right here in the heart of your territory. We're here in Samburu country, and you preach this morning. Can you tell us a bit about where we are and what we're doing here today?
We are in Samburu region, one of the tribes that are not yet entered with the gospel, and we are at a place called Lalet. This is in Central Kenya Conference.
So tell me about who's working here.
We have a global mission pioneer by the name Evangelist Lawrence, who was not a Seventh-day Adventist before, but later on when he got the truth, he became an Adventist, and then he got to be the global mission pioneer for this place after baptism and the introduction to this work.
Okay, and sometimes a global mission pioneer, we have to find somebody to work in an area who's not from that culture. Mm-hmm. But what we like best is when we find somebody who's from the culture, who understands the people, and that's exactly what Lawrence is. He's from here. He said he grew up here. Yeah. He went to school here. He went to high school here. Mm-hmm. So it's really wonderful. So this morning we had a worship service here. And then after that, what happened?
Of course, we had a wonderful welcoming ceremony before the worship, and after the worship, we had a meal together with the members here. And I'm finding that to be very nice because it keeps the members continue to congregate and meet. It makes them feel at home, you know, instead of them finishing the service and then go home. Sometimes they don't come back for the afternoon programs, but they stay here the whole day because there is a meal that they share after the service.
So when they come, they have a worship service,
Yes.
they eat together, they're fellowshipping together,
Yes.
and then they have an afternoon program, so they're here for the whole day.
Kada sama ngai ngop. Erungere nya na bokele. Ba kore pok no irko. Ne memi. Na go tum kishun ne meti.
Ni wala. Kaya. Amada. Manyaka. Der dogi. Amen. Amen. Okay.
What are some of the other challenging areas, and where else have you been? Where do we have Global Mission Pioneers working in Kenya?
Well, yeah, like in Central Kenya Conference, which is also within East Kenya Union Conference, we have quite a number. We have about 7 centers. But okay, there's this one here, Lalet. We also have another place called Mankau in Meru region. We also have another one in the northwestern side of Kenya, Ileret. It's called Ileret. We also have Watalii. We also have another one called very close to Lake Turkana. We also have another one there. The name, yes, is a little gone. Yeah,
so these are places where Global Mission Pioneers are working?
Yes. We have 7 of them in Central Kenya Conference. But in the coast, we also have other places. We have 4 of the Global Mission Pioneers. In another conference, we have 2 among the Maasai people. And somewhere to the western side, in Nyamira Conference, we have also 2 Global Pioneers there. So, yeah.
And I'm sorry, I said Kenya Union in your
East
Kenya
Union
Union
Conference.
because it's large enough now.
Sure.
Kenya has a lot of Adventists, but there are certain regions where there's still challenges.
That's true.
Now, I don't know how long ago, but you made a trip up to the very northern part of Kenya.
Yes.
And you're telling me, how long did that take you to get up there?
Well, it took us about 4 days. 4 days on rough road. I remember the tires of the vehicle that we are using, all of them went flat. We had to keep changing, and on our way back, we actually had to request, the company that had given us this car to buy completely new tires because the old one had, all of them gone flat. So it took us 4 days to go there.
4 days of driving in the car.
Yes, and we were reaching out to a tribe that is actually even not well recognized here in Kenya. It's within Kenya, yes, but it's not in the box. It's called the Dasanachi people. Yeah, and these are partly in Kenya and partly in Ethiopia. It was wonderful to meet with these people and fellowship with them. By the end of the 2 weeks campaign, we baptized 765 members.
765 members, wonderful, yes.
And we put there 3 Global Mission Pioneers to help sustain those new converts.
Very good. Now, if you could ask the World Church to help or to pray for something, what would you ask them to help do?
Well, I would request the World Church to pray because of the many challenges. Number one, the number one challenge in most of these regions, which are quite arid and some of them are really close to being deserts, is water. One thing that is really needed here is to pray that somehow something happens that these people can get a borehole. If you have a borehole, then you help the members not to go far looking for water. They can even make a village just around the borehole, and that way you can have a permanent church there.
Okay, so borehole. I think in North America we'd call a well.
A well.
So drilling down and creating a well,
Yes.
because the people are nomadic, they travel,
Sure.
and if you have a well, they have a sort of a central location,
yes.
and a pioneer can work with them for a longer period of time. Now, you've been taking a lot of pictures and video here, and you said that you're going to go back to Nairobi. Now, Nairobi is very different from here.
Sure.
Nairobi is a big modern city, and you're saying you're going to take those pictures back. Why are you going to take them back?
Well, I think they will speak more than words can tell. I think by showing people what kind of regions we are from, or the kind of people that we are yet to reach, and the needs of the people, and I think that will be good enough to encourage members to do something for them.
One more thing, a lot of people in different parts of the world sponsor Global Mission Pioneers, but you're telling me that people here are also sponsoring Global Mission Pioneers.
Yes.
What were you telling me about that?
We are encouraging our members to also take care of some global mission pioneers in a way that they will also be reaching out to them through the global mission pioneers. So we encourage members, individual members, churches, districts to come together and at least do something on that.
And I was talking to somebody the other day who said that a group of pastors had banded together and were sponsoring a Global Mission Pioneer.
Yes.
And that's incredible. Thank you very much for talking with us, and thank you for joining us for Mission 360. I'm Rick Kajura.
Next up, we travel from the glitz and the wealth of Rodeo Drive, California, to the Southern Africa Indian Ocean region and see what's happening with your 13 Sabbath Offering projects.
My name is Farah. I was asked to manage the brand new Kids Hope Orphanage here in Madagascar. We're so thankful to the World Church for their support. This residence was built with contributions made to the 13 Sabbath Offering some years ago. I've been here for 1 year now. Since I arrived, we have welcomed 10 girls who would have no family, home, or future if it weren't for this residence. The youngest girl is 7 months old, and the oldest is 7 years old. Sadly, each of them has a tragic life story. That's why they're here. I know they may not realize it yet, but God has a very special plan for their lives. I'll never forget the day they arrived. Since then, they've grown so much. They're our family now, and we love them a lot. Raphaeline is the only other caregiver. Every morning, she and I bathe the girls and teach them about proper hygiene. We prepare breakfast and eat together. Then we study the Sabbath school lesson for morning worship. Raphaeline teaches the preschool lessons. We always make time for games, lunch, and even rest in the afternoon. As the girls rest, we think hard to find solutions for the many challenges we face here. The obstacles at times feel insurmountable. We need God to intervene soon. Our operational funds are scarce, and we need more caregivers. The residence can actually host more girls, but first we need to become self-supporting. Behind the building, there's room for a vegetable garden, chickens, and even a cow for milk. There are also women in the village who are willing to donate handmade crafts if we can sell them. We have many plans, but we know the right solution can only come from God. Sabbath is a special day around here. The girls eat a delicious meal, then we put on our best clothes and walk to church together. At church, the girls meet other young friends, listen to Bible stories, and worship. Above all, we pray earnestly that God will help us teach the children to follow the right path. We house them here at the orphanage in hope that they will choose to live forever in our heavenly home.
This quarter, a portion of the 13th Sabbath Offering will provide needed resources for the Kids Hope Orphanage in Madagascar. Your contributions will also sponsor the construction of an Adventist orphanage and HIV/AIDS rehabilitation center in Mozambique. More projects in the Southern Africa region will go toward building or improving schools and community centers. Please pray for members of the Adventist Church working in Mozambique and Sao Tome and Principe. And thank you for your support of the 13th Sabbath Offering.
Well, thanks so much for joining us on today's program. And I hope that you've been challenged and inspired by what you've seen and heard. From large metropolises like Los Angeles through to more rural areas, we see that God's love is touching many lives in different ways. But you know, huge challenges still remain. And I want to thank you for the part that you play in supporting Adventist mission. You do this every time that you pray for mission and for missionaries. You do this when you provide financial support for mission and when you are personally involved. So I want to thank you so much for what you are doing to support Adventist mission. And as a small thank you, I'd like to send you a small free gift. It's the Mission Spotlight DVD. And this DVD is full of stories just like you see right here on this program. Well, for Adventist Mission, I'm Gary Krause, and I hope that you can join me next time right here on Mission 360.